Henry VIII, the 28th of June 1491 to the 28th of January 1547, was King of England from the 21st of April 1509 until his death. He was Lord, and later King, of Ireland, as well as continuing the nominal claim by the English monarchs to the Kingdom of France. Henry was the second monarch of the Tudor dynasty, succeeding his father, Henry VII. Besides his 6 marriages, Henry VIII is known for his role in the separation of the Church of England from the Roman Catholic Church. Henry's struggles with Rome led to the separation of the Church of England from papal authority, the dissolution of the monasteries, and establishing himself as the supreme head of the Church of England. Yet he remained a believer in core Catholic theological teachings, even after his excommunication from the Catholic Church. Henry oversaw the legal union of England and Wales with the Laws in Wales Acts 1535 and 1542. Catherine of Aragon, the 16th of December 1485 to the 7th of January 1536. Spanish, Catalina de Aragon, was Henry's first wife. After the death of Arthur, her first husband and Henry's brother, a papal dispensation was obtained to enable her to marry Henry, though the marriage did not take place until after he came to the throne in 1509. Prospects were looking good when Catherine became pregnant in 1510, just 4 months after their marriage, but the girl was stillborn. Catherine became pregnant again in 1511, and gave birth to a boy who died 2 months later. In 1512, Catherine gave birth to a stillborn boy, and then a stillborn girl in 1513. Finally, Catherine bore him a healthy daughter in 1516, Mary. It took her 2 years to conceive again. This pregnancy also ended with a stillborn girl. It is said that Henry truly loved Catherine of Aragon. He himself professed it many a time in song, letters, inscriptions, public declarations, etc. Anne Boleyn, c.1501/1507 the 19th of May 1536, was Henry's second wife and the mother of Elizabeth I. Henry's marriage to Anne, and her subsequent execution, made her a key figure in the political and religious upheaval that was the start of the English Reformation. The daughter of Sir Thomas Boleyn and his wife, Lady Elizabeth Boleyn, born Lady Elizabeth Howard, Anne was of nobler birth than Jane Seymour, Henry's later wife. She was dark-haired, with beautiful features and lively manners. She was educated in Europe, largely as a lady-in-waiting to Queen Claude of France. Anne resisted the king's attempts to seduce her in 1526, and she refused to become his mistress, as her sister, Mary Boleyn, had been. It soon became the one absorbing object of the king's desires to secure a divorce from his wife, Catherine of Aragon, so he could marry Anne. When it became clear that Pope Clement VII was unlikely to give the king an annulment, the breaking of the power of the Roman Catholic Church in England began. Jane Seymour, roughly 1508 to the 24th of October 1537, was Henry's third wife. She served Catherine of Aragon and was one of Anne Boleyn's ladies-in-waiting. It is strongly believed that she is the mistress who disposed of Anne, who was executed just 10-11 days before Jane's marriage to the king. The daughter of a knight, she was of lower birth than most of Henry's wives. Finally, a year later, Jane gave birth to a healthy, legitimate male heir, Edward, but Seymour died 12 days later, presumably because of postnatal complications. This apparently caused her husband genuine grief, as she was the only queen to receive a proper queen's burial. When the king died in 1547, he was buried next to her. Anne of Cleves, the 22nd of September 1515 to the 16th of July 1557, was Henry's fourth wife, for only 6 months in 1540, from the 6th of January to the 9th of July. Anne of Cleves was a German princess. It has been incorrectly stated that Henry referred to her as a Flanders mayor. Nevertheless, the label has stuck with Anne. 8. Her pre-contract of marriage with Francis I, Duke of Lorraine, was cited as grounds for an annulment. Anne agreed to this, claiming that the marriage had not been consummated, and because she hadn't resisted the annulment, was given a generous settlement, including Hever Castle, former home of Henry's former in-laws, the Boleyns. She was given the name the king's sister, and became a friend to him and his children until his death. She outlived both the king and his last two wives, making her the last of the 6 wives to die. Catherine Howard c.1521-the 13th of February 1542 was Henry's 5th wife between 1540 to 1542, sometimes known as the Rose Without a Thorn. Henry was informed of her alleged adultery with Thomas Culpeper on the 1st of November 1541. Catherine Parr 1512-the 5th of September 1548, also spelled Catherine, was the 6th and last wife of Henry VIII, 1543 to 1547. She was the daughter of Sir Thomas Parr of Kendal and his wife Maud Green. Through her father, Catherine was a direct John of Gaunt, son of King Edward III. Through John of Gaunt's daughter Joan Beaufort, Countess of Westmoreland, Henry's great-great-grandmother, she was Henry's 3rd cousin, once removed by Henry's paternal descent from another of John of Gaunt's children, John Beaufort, 1st Earl of Somerset. The two were also 4th cousins once removed.